Welcome back, everybody. I know you've all been waiting for this video, and yeah, it's been a little while. My bad. I've had a lot of personal stuff going on, so I haven't been able to make a video, or I've been working on it for a little while. But anyways, let's move on, because I know you guys have been waiting for this video to cap off the original Arkham games, and yes, you've guessed it, 10 terrifying details in Batman Arkham World. Wait, for Batman Arkham Origins, but this absolutely will not be the last 10 terrifying details, so don't worry about that. There'll be plenty more in the future, but I just don't want to waste any more time other than saying I apologize for me being a month late for a video. Let's get into it. It'll be a really great video. I love Origins. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below, but other than that, let's get back into it with our first detail. So, this one's going to be a bit of a challenge to get a lot of info out of, but thanks to the Arkham Wiki, I discovered the King Bat, which we can actually see at the very beginning of the game. And let me tell you something, I didn't know how big it was until I looked it up again. Holy shit, he's massive. Anyways, back to it. Return to the Batcave, you can find Alfred standing near training program and talking about a bat creature he calls the King Bat, referencing to the giant bat with green eyes seen in multiple different cutscenes throughout the game. So yeah, I guess Bruce and Alfred just have a massive bat inside. But why not try to figure out how big this bat actually is? So, of course, according to the database, in Origins, Bruce is currently 6'2". In New Jersey, there are various species of bats, which, if you didn't know, Gotham is based upon New Jersey, not New York, which I guess a lot of you probably thought, and I used to think when I first went through a bunch of DC content. Anyways, but the most popular type of bat is the big brown bat in the state of New Jersey in our world, which is 4.3 to 5.1 inches, so let's say 4.7 inches to be safe. So doing the math, dividing Batman's height by the bats, we get about 16 bats making up the height of Batman, and from the first scene, it seems about 4 or 5 bats make up the King Bat. So, of course, take this with a grain of salt. Doing the final math, the King Bat is around 2.5 feet tall. Being gracious. And today, the tallest bat in the world is about a foot tall, which is a giant golden crowned flying fox. So yeah, this is a pretty big boy. But of course, take that with a grain of salt. There's a massive bat hanging right above Bruce. This section's been long enough, but if you want more of these realistic lore talks, or just let me know down below. But let's move on. Now, one of the most horrible villains in the DC universe with what he does to girls in Gotham. Let's be honest, Mad Hatter is so fucked. But anyways, we of course have a Mad Hatter mission in Origins, which, to be honest, is very similar to the other ones in the Arkham games. But what I will say is the design for the levels is pretty sick. But I wanted to bring up this detail because of the reason we're giving the old Hatter a visit. Because he kidnapped a young girl and made her his Alice, which we see him do in many other renditions of his character. So first, we of course take down his thugs, then get transported into his storybook land, which we have to get through and make it back out alive, still, hopefully sane. And once we finally make it back to the real world, we can finally save Alice. And once we do, she says she'll never be the same after what happened, implying that he sexually abused her.
Police are on their way. Everything's going to be alright.
No, it's not.
Or something else just as bad. Having these more realistic issues in the Arkham games compared to fighting a monster Joker makes it just feel so much more realistic, and the odds are just more worth fighting for, in my opinion. Anyway, Mad Hatter is still disgusting in the other Arkham games, and it made me feel so good to do this. Anyways, let me know your thoughts down below on this one, but let's move on. The Stalkers themselves, the Court of Owls, are indeed in Origins. The Court have been controlling Gotham for a long time, pulling the strings and controlling most of the political power within the city. This is terrifying because of the threat they pose to not only Batman, but also the city. In most renditions, the Court is always out to get Batman, but at the same time, are also trying to recruit Bruce Wayne, so which it makes Bruce's situation even more tricky than it already is. The Court tortures and kills for their power and influence over the city, which we can see a lot in Gotham Knights, which is also not that bad of a game. So, you can also watch my video on it, but shameless plug. But anyways, we can first see the Court in the city on the balcony of the Royal Hotel, where statues that resemble talons watch over the city. So yeah, pretty creepy, because this shows immediately the influence they possess over Gotham already. And that it's obviously a metaphor that they're always watching everybody wherever they are in the city. The second mention of the Court in Origins is a book featuring the ominous Beware the Court of Owls nursery rhyme, which can be found in the Gotham Bridge. Again, this shows their influence over the city already, and their terrible taste in music.
Personally, I wouldn't take that level of disrespect.
But let's move on. Now, I know we all have a deep, deep connection and love for mannequins with deer heads and missing body parts, but to me, this was a bit creepy. So, directly after escaping the GCPD, we go into the sewers to escape silently. But when we're going through it, if you go down here, you'll find this little section you can't get into. But who'd really want to? Anyways, it's just a really random detail, but most likely just Joker's decorations, of course. But the henchman in the corner looks very, very similar to the Asylum ones. That it most likely is just reused model, but maybe not. Anyways, just a quick one, but definitely a creepy one if you're scared of mannequins, deer heads, and reused models. Copperhead is not one of the most well-known Batman villains, but definitely one that shouldn't be messed with, and one you definitely need to stop being down bad for, but... Damn! Anyways, after entering the office, a cutscene is triggered where we see Copperhead stalking us up above. Using her poison, she attacks Batman and puts him into a state of severe hallucination, which is scary enough for Batman to be compromised, but during these hallucinations, while trying to escape the facility, the Bat begins to see shadows of Copperhead stalking him, watching his every move. Now, to me, what's the most interesting thing is how much mentally and physically stronger Batman's gotten from his early days we see in Origins. I mean, in Asylum, he was able to fight off the Joker serum with ease, in comparison, of course, to how quickly Copperhead's toxins set in for him. But of course, differences in toxins and how they affect the body is what adds up. But it's still cool to see the difference between Batman's early days and what we see in Asylum City and Night. Just really cool to see how much Batman's progressed and how well the studios did with showing that progression. Now, how would you feel if you created something that's kidnapped, murdered, destroyed, robbed, and done countless other things so horrible, even the Condiment King would shudder at the thought of him? Well, the Red Hood gang has done that by creating the Joker. When you're in the Batcave, if you head to the Bat computer, then turn around, you'll see a bulletin board listing villains Batman's currently investigating. One of those is the Red Hood gang, the group who unintentionally created the Joker. So, yeah, they may have been a small Gotham gang, but they've produced a massive serial-killing clown. Great job, I guess? And here's the Red Hood gang isn't seen all too much within the entire series, but it's awesome to see them in Origins, and of course, we see a little bit here and there in this hallucination of Mad Hatter. But overall, not too much just considering the main games, but hey, you never know. Maybe Suicide Squad Kill a Justice League will give us a really compelling, beautiful, and artistic representation of his terrifying beginning as the Joker. Well, don't count on it, but anyways, to have details on the creation of the Joker within a game about his nemesis' origin is pretty great, or should I say, terrifying. But let's move on. Now, Calendar Man appears to show up in a lot in the Arkhamverse, and even more in my channel, and today is no exception. So everybody clap for Julian, he's back! So yes, of course, we can find Calendar Man's cell A1, at the beginning of the game in Blackgate. There's various dates and calendars on the wall, and of course, it is his cell after all. But of course, there's a more obvious appearance in the game, him talking to Black Mask. Black Mask frees Calendar Man rather than killing him, forcing a mutual friendship to sprout, with Black Mask happy to free him if Julian now owes him a favor. And if you know anything about Calendar Man, you'd know that any favor from one psychopath to another is not good. So yeah, not too good, but this one is much more obvious, so let's move on. Now, of course, we all view Bane as one of the strongest and most fierce villains in the DC universe, especially the Arkhamverse. But one of the other vital parts to his character is his extreme intelligence. We see this during his time in prison on Santa Prisca, how he was able to put himself in the role of a leader in such a short time within the prison. His moving up in the ranks of the criminal underworld is very impressive. And one of the most evident examples of Bane's intelligence is during our playthroughs of Origins. Bane in Origins seemingly is always one step ahead of Batman throughout the entire game. We can see this clearly when Batman figures out that Bane has been researching and tracking down the true identity of the Batman the whole time, which of course he found out to be Bruce Wayne. Then of course he puts two and two together, finds the Batcave, and destroys it. Even scarier, he gets to Alfred and beats the living hell out of him, and toys with Bruce once he arrives. Bane not only has an insane amount of physical strength, but he also knows how to get into Batman's mind, and punish him that way, which with everything we know about Batman, his mind is the strongest part of his body. Overall, Bane's strength and intelligence makes him a truly terrifying villain for any hero in Gotham. Now, everybody, please be cautious because this next one, truly truly is terrifying. And so if you're not good with terrifying sights, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to close YouTube and do some meditation. But this next one, scarily enough, is a Suicide Squad. All jokes aside, this one isn't scary, but like I said in my city video, it's my video. And what Warner Bros. And Rocksteady did with Suicide Squad was pretty terrifying. Though it's overhated, fairly enough, I will say, it could have been something really special. But anyways, that's not this video. But the Suicide Squad does indeed show up in Origins. The main cutscene or post-credit scene after you finish Origins shows Slade locked up behind bars when the most cheerful woman in the DC universe shows up, Amanda Waller. But anyway, she offers him a deal to take some years off of his sentence, like she's done with many others, to join the squad. It would be really cool to see maybe like a DLC with this version of the Suicide Squad in its earlier years, in my opinion. Kind of what we saw in the Suicide Squad animated film. Like what adventures they went on and who was all part of the team. Then of course, the changes that were made to create this. Even though many Arkham fans won't even accept that the Suicide Squad killed the Justice League is in the Arkham universe. But anyways, for all of our sake, let's move on. But lastly, I just want to quickly go over this very minor detail we can see in the game. So on the Penguin's beautiful luxury vessel, we can find a painting with a very eerie figure who most closely resembles King Kraken, a very niche villain in comparison to a lot we've spoken about today, but still a very cool one in my opinion. He used to harass Scandinavia, but now he's harassing Gotham. But again, this brings us back to how well Rocksteady does with bringing in details and references of these niche villains, or more niche. But for King Kraken, he's honestly such a really sick character, and I wish you could see more of him, because this design is just really awesome, and I love it. Anyways, that's all the 10 terrifying details for Arkham Origins. I really do hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry again for how long it's been, but I've had a lot going on lately. But other than that, thank you for watching, stay safe, and let me know all of your thoughts down below. Bye-bye.